In 2003, when I was diagnosed, at first it was nothing. I was 34 at the time. And when I turn around and I recognize that, wait now, at 34 your mother changing pampers, your little sister flying from England to make sure that you're okay. Every time I turn I see a different face over my bed. And you know what's the most painful part about it? Well, last fall I went in the San Fernando Journal Hospital and see the pretty young nurses they have. You know, you still lie down on your bed and a pretty nurse washing your stones and you can't even move to say I love you. That hard, you know. It's real hard. It's real hard. It's not only hard, it's belittling. Because as a man, you think you're supposed to be standing up in front of her, not lying down for her to take care of you.
Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, you are flowing to the sea. Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, come sing your traveling song to me. You have traveled down the mountain, tumbling over rocky heights, filling and defeating fountain, never slowing through the night. Lazy, lazy, lazy water, you are flowing to the sea. Lazy, lazy,
in order to influence a culture, you have to understand the culture. And if you don't understand the culture, then all you're doing is spending top in money. So by the time, let's say for example, you identify the culture, you identify the culture now. The culture is one that again is influenced by the Jamaican culture, the hip-hop culture, the typical Caribbean culture. And again, you have so many subcultures. How do you then develop one strategy or a strategy to address a national culture that is so diverse in its own?
Come and take away my longing, gently ease me of my strain, fill me with the tender loving, forever with me to remain.
It's a melee of I think, a whole bunch of other cultures. And it's how we figured out to assimilate the culture into something that is expressible, if I may put it like that. Because I don't know, we probably could have taken East Indian culture, African culture, European culture, experience of colonization, experience of slavery, experience of indentureship, and put it together differently. But it probably would have been a horrible, horrible expression.
When I refer to culture, I'm speaking about our way of life in this country, which is fed by religious, ethnic, socioeconomic, and many other facets. It's how people behave, how they relate to one another within Trini society. And that's been our weakness and our strength. I think anyone who's been working in the field of HIV would recognize that what we refer to as our culture as a people has made many of us vulnerable to HIV. There tends to be less constraint on multiple partnering among our males than among our females. And that has resulted to some extent to the vulnerability among our young women that we're seeing now, and the fact that infection rates are on the rise.
been a very ancient country. Sometimes people like to think in terms or refer to us as for the coming of Columbus. But we have that spiritual contact before Columbus with our own indigenous people, which go back for millennia. So what remains of it, the spirituality still exists. And when we've had people coming from Europe, they brought their elements of spirituality. In the mother continent, Africa, spirituality came there from India, South Asia, the Middle East, China, and they all found a home and a space here. And diverse as we are, we still see ourselves as a unit. If the traditions which I hold has established a firm base on which they can live and practice their life, and they do not practice that, it will have spin-offs as we see with the expression of the spread of AIDS. They adopt values that lead you away and put you into this matrix of occulty of death. I don't think it was meant to be that.
I mean, I have to commend quite a number of you gentlemen who put up your hand and say that you are virgins, because, let's be real, Trinidad and Tobago has beautiful women. You understand? And from Palo Seco go straight back to Debe. You know we have a mixed culture. We have plenty pretty women on this side of the country. And the men who could say that they are virgins, you're damn strong. I commend you. Because I know personally, I seen a pretty woman, I go fall short. I ain't hiding it to tell you. I have plenty men will say the same thing, but some of them are afraid to say it. You understand? HIV is more real, and HIV is as real as the shock you will get from any of them high tension wires that we have running through Trinidad and Tobago. That is how real it is. It's not a myth anymore. And for those of you who think that you can't get it, change your mind.
I am a Caribbean baby, as sweet like a fresh Moby. Whenever the rhythms take me, I'm whining like Santa P. Oh yes, I'm whining like Santa P. Oh yes, I'm whining like Santa P. I am a Caribbean baby, as sweet like a fresh Moby. Whenever the rhythms take me, I'm whining like Santa P.
I'm a virgin and I am proud. So what if I don't follow the crowd? I'm a human, I demand my respect. I make the right choices I will never regret. Sex, drugs and alcohol are not for me. I will uphold my integrity. I choose to refrain. I choose to abstain. I will not hold my head in shame. It's up to you to do the same.
Very good.
Sit down with me and tell me, you know, you have to wait till marriage.
Yeah.
This is my belief. I believe in this. I believe that my husband should be the only person to touch me in this way. It'll teach you to fight temptation, first thing first. Like, give you self-control. Be like, then you'll get more confidence in yourself if you understand. You don't have to portray yourself as an object to get attention.
In Islam, a father is not only a biological father, he is a theological father. He is Imam al-Bayt. He is the Imam of the home. He's the leader of the home. And how he treats his wife, his daughter will come to expect. That's the way a man should treat her. So that to hear the young girls speak, you know, and define their own sexuality, what is their vision for themselves as young women and as promising mothers, was very intriguing, and that's why I emphasized that nobody would have sat them down. This is as a result of the culture of the home. This is a result of the culture of Muslims. And to me, that is important in any attack on AIDS or all of the crime and violence, whatever deviant behaviors we are seeing in the society, I think it goes back to the home and what defines the home.
Worldwide, we are aware that the Muslim community is the least infected. And I guess that will be the same here if we should extrapolate. It has to do with circumcision as a practice. They have least STIs, and it has to do with their lifestyle. And even if there is more than one wife in the community, it will not be able to spread out to other societies which are more open.
Judgment! How we talk about? I said the gun thing no burn, the gun thing no pay. Then, the gun thing no burn. Who no hear what me say? Judgment! The gun thing no burn, and the gun thing no pay. Alright, the gun thing no burn. Who no hear what me say? Judgment!
Life is a precious commodity. Why the youth them go run down all the vanity? And I go check for life for humanity. Emperor Selassie is majesty. Well the gun, well the better put it down. Don't make no blood run. Whether country down, tongue to tongue. Era like picked and mover. And John see the gun thing now work.
And the gun thing now pay.
As soon as you start to be Rastafari, you start cleansing, because a life like that. You know, you start to cleanse as soon as you be in Rastafari. You start to cleanse your ways, your thoughts, you start to change your eating habits, your drinking habits, all these things, because that way is about now change. A change in yourself, which what you know, when you make this change, you will be of the world. You go be in the world and not of it. So certain things of the world will really affect you once you're Rastafari. It didn't really affect you, you know, because you will be living in a higher vortex or a purer vortex. Quite a many vortex over the boys. With the vortex you stand, you know. The vortex you stand must be always in your own self, always wearing your magnetic cape. You know, your magnetic cape come like through the powers of your chakra, you know, through the powers of your pineal. You know, you're wearing this cape, you know, you're untouched, because certain things you don't touch out there, because the scripture say, touch not, taste not, touch not. If you don't want to get defiled by certain things, you know, stay away. You know, not to say when you meet a woman and talk to she, but you won't touch, you won't taste, and certain things. I never said to touch and taste something that mean the magnetic cape will lose enough current too, because you know you get effect and you're going out, so that's the right principle.
First it's supposed to be a right age. It's, to me, as I always say, it's supposed to be a me before you be a we. You're supposed to learn about yourself, know about yourself, know how to carry about yourself before you're thinking about knowing someone else and, you know, and going with other people and things. So.
But it takes a while. What age do you think is a good age?
I was like 25. Yeah.
About 25?
Mm-hmm.
And what about for you?
Still waiting on the right one.
Yeah.
when that time comes, I will make you know.
Unto the Holy One of creation, as Jah was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be.
Jah world without end. Jah Rastafari.
Well, it's a very principled lifestyle. Yeah. They have to be dealing in principles, because we hold laws and commandments and certain things. So we have to know how to carry about ourselves as, you know, as women this in our age and thing.
To have some young people and all too, they might find certain parts of the tradition might be a hold on.
The way we just dress, we doesn't show off his skin, we tie head when we go out there.
No, I don't have any girlfriend, but I will say a lot of girls like to be my girlfriend, I should say. Okay. But the way how I live, right, is you could say I'm more family oriented. You know, I'm around the family. I might be more around the youths and them.
I haven't been sexually active for 8 years.
So you know they say you date, and when you go out, do you like see girls?
No, well, maybe a nice young lady might pass and I might say, yeah, baby cake, she look nice and thing, but I wouldn't entertain like to carry she out or any kind of thing like that. Cause, you know, say right now it's not that for me too. I all about the money too. Right now I am looking to heap up some money and do something with my life and see how, you know, because life is to live. I have it forever, you know, and that's why I seek everlasting life. I thought plenty time for that.
John got in up and never listen at all. John got in wait until the body don't fall. And the mama and the poopa them a run and go ball. Ma come pick up body just after all. Funeral they run gun call.
Anyone can become infected, irrespective of your tenets and lifestyle, once you become sexually active and you're not protecting yourself. And think of it, if a woman in a relationship is adhering to all the tenets and the man isn't, HIV is going to come home. That's why we're saying it's good for persons to abstain. But what do you do when you become sexually active? Those discussions as well need to come forward in terms of how do women protect themselves? How do women empower themselves so that they're not subjected to scenarios that puts them at risk for HIV?
Mighty devotees, let us pray. Clasp our hands together in humble submission to the Divine Master. As we close our eyes, locking out the mundane world, we focus upon the Lord, Bhagwan Sri Ram. He, mighty devotees, establish a code of conduct for healthy living, for successful living. Hey Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Shri Sita Ram. Hey Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Shri Sita Ram.
I'm a strong Hindu. I consider myself to be a strong Hindu. I love everything about Hinduism. Our entire culture is beautiful. Our clothing, our food, our festivals, everything is just wonderful. But being a young Hindu woman in modern day society is a bit different than it was back then. Our culture and the whole has changed in terms of traditional clothing and everything like that. But to me, we hold on to a lot of our traditional values.
Now we recognize that people have these very strong, very powerful urges. Perhaps the sex drive might be the most powerful urge that we have, the urge to mate. That can kill you. Because you go out, you have unprotected sex, you can spread that disease to someone else. So we're saying, listen, look, to live long, to be happy, no sex before marriage. That is one of the Hindu tenets and teachings, not now, as of ancient time, no sex before marriage. So it caters for a healthy individual getting married, getting into a marriage. So if you have two healthy people getting married, tell me where's the chance of spreading or causing the disease to grow, other than where it's reached.
Have that commitment, you know, with that person you are with, so in order to, you know, be able to abstain. Because I mean, if you have to be, you know, faithful, you and that person. Because I mean, if you are abstaining and he's not, I mean, you know, that could make you subjective to AIDS.
Do you trust your boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. What about you?
Yes, but I think in terms of abstinence, it has a lot to do with self-control. If you're a strong person, but spiritually also, and you put your mind to it, and you know what, I don't want to have sex until I'm married, you know. But
well,
self-control.
We believe that.
Yeah. In Hinduism, we're taught about celibacy.
We're saying, look, if no one has told you, if your mother hasn't told you, if your father hasn't told you, we're telling you, no sex before marriage. But only you can do that. We can't walk around with you and keep telling you. You have to develop. It has to become part of who you are. Listen, look, I treasure myself, I treasure my family, I want to live long. No sex before marriage.
So you both are virgins, I take it?
Yeah.
Virgins.
No, I could get to that part there. Right. Some people might say, you know, being a virgin is a burden, right? You know, with rhymes in that kind of way, but it's not. It's not. You just have to have a little bit more respect for yourself and tell people to have a little bit more respect for you and all too, because all that is the way our, you should say a priest supposed to carry about himself, or a man, a good man.
Are you dating? Or you have a boyfriend?
Yes.
You have a boyfriend?
Yes.
A long-term or relationship?
Yeah, long-term.
First boyfriend still, or how many boyfriends you had?
First. First.
First boyfriend, okay. And are you guys sexually active?
Do we have to answer that?
No, you don't.
Okay.
I said
I make a phone call, she all the way from New York, and she want to pick me up in at the airport. Even though me see she in a few hours. Happy to this I say I mean I ignore her as well. But pretty soon I will be picking you up. A long time, you know that song, right? Yeah, them two of them naughty, two jet lover. And everybody go knock, 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 boy. But pretty soon I see the door open wide. It is a cell phone. You want them say now, get them wrong timing. Get them not where you're from, but is where you are going wrong timing. Yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Me sing say, a Christian, a Rasta man talking about how you see Jesus Christ coming. They say that Jesus Christ coming at the morning. I got me natty and I start praising. And when me look to the rising of the sun, and Selassie I decide to come.
There's a period of experimentation in the average Caribbean man's life. Somewhere in his 20s, sometimes early 20s, where he plays the field. Whatever he can get, he will take. He's not particularly discriminating in that regard. At that point, he's most highly at risk. A woman who enters into relationship at that time as well, because she is in relationships that are doomed to instability, she is at risk as well, because she may have a partner. And another issue that is becoming very, very critical here is the inability or the lack of any intention to commit. Commitment is very, very difficult on the part of Caribbean men.
HIV arises out of the wrong type of partnership. Usually it's partnerships that are transient in nature, built on a lack of trust, lack of communication, imbalance, need on one end, etc. But the solution to HIV also involves partnerships, but the right type of partnerships.
He has to be a macho male. He has to have deputies, not one person at home.
The macho man deputy central culture, is
Got
that something that's Trinidadian or Caribbean in itself, or is that something that's worldwide? That can be seen across other male-dominated things?
Yes, I think it can be seen worldwide, but we have it sort of specific in our own way.
That's totally incorrect. That's totally incorrect. The Caribbean man is no more macho than the African man, is no more macho than the Canadian man, the British man, or the American man, or the South American man. There is no more sexual activity per capita in the Caribbean, or even in Africa for that point of view, in terms of making a link with HIV. If you look at the lifetime number of sexual encounters that any man has, the mean is the same throughout the world. The biggest problem that I see here, that I come up with in terms of facilitating HIV and making HIV infection transmission easy, is untreated and partially treated sexually transmitted diseases. And that comes as a result of a poor healthcare system. That has nothing to do with man being macho or woman being promiscuous. Because we know that as long as there's a lot of untreated sexually transmitted diseases. HIV is easily transmitted in that circumstance.
I want to particularly talk about serial monogamy because it's a pattern in which people change partners after being monogamous for a period of time. If, for example, a woman has a baby with someone and that relationship does not work out, after a few years she may change partners in order to have another partner who would help her to support the child. And that is where the serial monogamy will come in. So when you talk about promiscuity, people would not accept that as a message.
You'll hear guys talking, and if you don't mention that you have a next partner or you have somebody else, they look at you funny. What wrong with you, eh? And you know, we have a saying in Trinidad, you can't eat the same food all the time. You have to try something different. But instead of trying something different with the same partner, they look to try something different with a different partner. And you know, even thinking about the macho image, where a guy will say, you know, boy, as a macho man, I could sleep with 15 different women. And you know my take on that, what I will tell you. If you can satisfy the same woman for 25 years, then you is a macho man. That's correct. Not satisfying 25 different women in 1 year. Because being able to stick with the same partner, getting that excitation from her, feeling that love and getting that feeling from her, and making sure that this is the person who turns you on night and day, through thick and thin. Woman body changes over a period of time. You might have married her and she would be slim and sexy, and all of a sudden she put on some weight, but you're still turned on by this woman. 25 years down the line, then that's a macho man.
That is talent.
That is...
Friends and family, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My cranium is quantum sophistically filled with words so as to expatiate my mental faculty on this auspicious occasion.
The urge for a particular partner has been the base of the foundation of our Caribbean people. The question of formalizing it in a marriage system, they go to the process either through church or in the registration system. Did not really interfere or the one-to-one situation between husband and wife or male and female in our society, and much as they would like to make it otherwise. Take for instance between the East Indian people, they had their marriage ceremonies and they had their faithfulness, but yet the state used to never recognize it. So as far as all of them concerned was in a common law relationship, and the children were bastardized and they had rights under the law and all of that. Right? These things have now passed. There are now Muslim laws, there are Hindu laws, there are Orisha laws, all have been, you know, there are Christian laws, there are what I may call secular laws where people can become married. Now the question of people making use of this, they still have the overarching of the one-to-one relationship.
Now Hinduism believes in and teaches for the one partner. That partner is your married spouse, someone you would have chosen as your wife or your husband. The saints and the sages, they've written their books called the Manusmriti. It's a code of law for how to conduct yourself. But that Manusmriti now is enacted in what we call the Puranas, or the history of the world according to Hinduism. And there will be one of the most effective means of teaching is teaching through stories. So there would be stories, what are called kathas, that teach you what happens if you go down this road. So you're able to imbibe a sort of vicarious experience. Because when you get into marriage, you can have all the sex you want. That's also perfect. In fact, it's so legitimate. We have a whole book on how to do it correctly. So enjoy it while it's there, in that legitimate setting. You enjoy the company of your spouse. It's one of the things you should enjoy as a human being.
If you are living, right, the Catholic lifestyle as it is proclaimed by the church, you should be much less vulnerable. Much less vulnerable, okay? In the sense that the church proclaims monogamy as the norm for human marriage, for male and female relating. That you don't get involved in casual sex, because sexual intercourse is a sacred experience. So if you are living that, you should be much less vulnerable. The church also, however, acknowledges original sin, which means that she acknowledges that human beings are weak. Human beings will fail, right? And therefore, the church, in a realistic understanding of human life, acknowledges that, hey, there are people out there who are Catholics and who will not live up to the tenets of the Catholic Church and who will therefore contract HIV.
When you make back up with a woman who you go and move so treacherous with, or she moves so treacherous with you, as soon as you and she start to correlate, that's a reproach. You know, the book of Timothy says people must never come together in this kind of way, and it's a reproach is taking place. It make no sense. You know, but I didn't come together again. That's why Jai said it ain't good for none of the different partners to go outside and break the marriage. You know, it's something like you go on, you and your wife, when you all come together, all come together for the health's sake. If you understand what I'm showing you, which right next day you might get bubbles, movements, you might get a glow on your body, a more different glow. You know, it has some people go into that and the next day they have no glow, nothing. You see no glow shine on them to know where you're going on, something take place. If you and your wife have a real union, the next day, it doesn't just about cheerfulness. Everyone does be carrying a glow and a whole different vibe, because that has been really certain. The same endorphins? Endorphins, yeah. Natural. Endorphins. You know? And that you know just come and bring back a preach. You know, you leave now and you go in with other partners, you wouldn't get that effect.
I want a virtuous woman to love me. I want a virtuous woman to take care of me. I want a virtuous woman to love me. I want a virtuous woman to take care of me.
This order where we live, you know, laws and commandments, one wife. I have one wife. You know, I'm showing you. I have one wife for about 16, 17 years. One wife. And that is the way I live up to today. And if I've been tested, I have no need to be tested. One wife.
To be a king, you must have one wife. That's how your kingdom does start. And then you go a prince and princess, which is your children go become the prince and princess. But you must be living within a certain principle as a king for your children to become prince and princess. You can't say he's a king and a one-star wives and expect a prince and princess, because you got a bastard children and so on. So to really be a king, you could have a little 10 by 10 and you could be a king. If you understand, once you live within the principle of the kingly strength of his majesty, give a night to live, you could be a king and you know you're living out a road and all. It's just you have to know how to be a king in your own self. You know, and to know, well, look, if you are your wife at the side, that a man can't be a king without a queen. In real, because you never see a king no without a queen. It's only Queen Elizabeth that sees a queen and she don't have a king. That's the Babylon way, you know?
You know that my royal empress let me hold you.
The ideal is man meets woman, not the fairy tale ideal, right? And I think today more than ever, what I think is going to have to happen is that in your teenage years and your early student years, people are going to have to be helped to learn how to relate to each other beyond the simply physical interaction. And for me, that's one of the big challenges. How do we help people to discover that in your teenage years, friendship is an important value? That when you meet another human being, you do not just meet them as a body that you want, but you meet them as a person whom you admire, whom you find interesting, whom you get along with, whom you want to play games with, whom you talk with, and all that sort of thing. And those interactions, because getting AIDS is not the only danger in sexual relating, right? There's a danger that you might give your soul to the wrong person. And I'm not talking about your body. There's a danger that in being sexually active with a person, you suddenly discover that you are the kind of person who is really about long-term, deep commitment. So you give your body and your soul to somebody at a time when that other person doesn't even appreciate the gift that you're making.
Where Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean is concerned, the pandemic that we're fighting is not really HIV, you know, it's our culture. And it's our culture as a Caribbean people, we love to have sex.
This whole thing about sex being immoral is something I have a problem with. The belief that carnival exposes our people, the whole population, to immoral acts and so on, and there's so much looseness.
Heightened sexually charged season. So you find a lot more emphasis is placed on it because you're dealing with over 22,000 tourists coming in. You have a high increase of sex workers coming out. You have all the elements. You have that culture of lewdness, that culture of whining, which is very, in some spaces very suggestive, speaks of sexual nature. You have the music, you have the alcohol, you have everything, you have the dress code, and it's one of those seasons where the elements is right.
It's a festival where people just want to break loose, break free. There are a lot of hookups. It's a particularly risky time for sexual initiation. Whether it's for the first time, people seem to lose their inhibitions. Persons who were quite strict in terms of their consistency in prevention, perhaps due to the increased alcohol intake, they may lose their inhibitions. So certainly at risk times, we seek to heighten our messaging.
And that's why you have the massive condom campaign during Carnival coming out of that, because the potential for AIDS and the sexual activity and so on. And there is not one time in the history of this country, nowhere that you would have injudicious sexual activity and irresponsible sexual activity like around carnival time. The condom thing is a facade because everybody drunk who are using that, you know. So
I think it's unfair, Bain. I think the expression of sexuality that comes out in a way that is careless comes from a kind of constraint on sexuality that we try to put in the first place. So it's a way that we can have something about us that is super, super important that we can use to gain power, to create power, to have fun with, to do all these things with that other people cannot police. And so when you get that period, that window of opportunity where it can happen in carnival, bam, you know, we make mass.
You see, carnival is a period when you abandon all inhibitions. It's a period, and you know, even the performers, it's pure sexual performances that are taking place, gyrations, open sexual behavior.
Well, I think that they have acknowledged that that carnival and the carnival type mentality that permeates sometimes the entire year caters for the spread of HIV. It's a time of wild abandonment. It's a time of drinking. It's a time of sexual inhibition. You have people gyrating on each other in a fete. And the natural culmination of such an act is to go do something else and bring it to some climax.
You know, I remember the late Archbishop of Port of Spain, the late Anthony Pantin. I remember one year he commented. He says the carnival celebration has been reduced to people having sex with clothes on. And to me that was a really profound statement that summed up what carnival has become. It was not that. If you look at the artistry, the talent, the skill that goes into carnival, mashallah, it's beautiful. But it is all of the peripheral activities and what it has been allowed to descend into.
No, I don't buy that. Right? I don't buy that at all. Because carnival is a few weeks at most in a year. Right? When I talk to people, I don't get the impression that 90% or even 50% of the people who contract HIV/AIDS can trace their contraction of that back to the months before carnival. We are a sexual culture all year through, right? People are, maybe it's the warmth or whatever it is, but people are interested in relating sexually all year through. Added to that, the music culture is now a year-long culture. The fete culture is now a year-long thing. You might say that it's a carnival thing that is now overtaking the whole country. Maybe, I don't know. But it's not about carnival time alone. And what a lot of people don't realize is that carnival is not only about the fete and all that sort of thing. Carnival is also about a lot of disciplined interaction in order to bring the mass into being, right? And when I think of the number of young people who are behind steel drums right through the night, hey, them kids could have been in somebody's bed.
Whining was happening long before I was even conceived. The jumping and waving was happening long before. The partying, the cheating, the infidelity was happening long before. Murders was happening long before. Crime was happening long before. Prostitution was happening long before. Politicians outsmarting the people was happening long before. So how could you blame a generation that came into a culture that was set by older people?
So come on now! Where's your wrong? You got the wrong! 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 Put him on!
People use carnival as an excuse to be promiscuous, and then they blame it on the artists when they get sick or they get pregnant or they get raped. You understand? You have no reason to go to a show. Look, I'm a part of carnival. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So how come I can be a part of carnival, be married, don't drink, don't smoke, don't lie unnecessarily unless I have a show to do and prioritize my life? But you who not even singing, you understand, you have a regular 9-to-5 job, you participating. You are not an instrument where you're providing a service. You are participating, which means you pay your money, come to the show, and you decide you want to drink, get so total, have sex with the first guy you meet, and then say, well, carnival is responsible for me being promiscuous. How you could blame the artist for that?
AIDS just doesn't happen. I mean, sadly, that doesn't happen for carnival. It's going to happen after carnival as well. I mean, carnival may be a high point for the spreading of HIV/AIDS because you bring all these people together, and self-control. People sometimes just don't have self-control, but we need to continue to go to the homes, go to the communities, bring people out, and we've done that successfully. Mobilize our community to come out and say, look, you know, your daughter could get AIDS. If you don't know that your daughter is sexually active, you need to find out. Your daughter could have AIDS. Your son could have AIDS. You're telling him be a man, and you're so proud, you know, you have 10 girlfriends, and they're calling him every day, but he could get AIDS. He could die. You burying our children, it's not one of the things we look forward to, you know, or burning or cremating one of our children. They're supposed to live long enough to cremate us and do our final rites. And when we have no children, we really have no future.
Sex and sexuality and sensuousness in the Orisha paradigm is a blessing. It's a positive thing. It is the way that we procreate. It makes it pleasurable. It is to be respected. It's sacred. It's God-given. And it's to be honored. Oshun, the deity that is the embodiment of sensuousness and sexuality. Oshun is also discipline. Okay, Oshun is discipline. Oshun has her own rules, her own regulations. Oshun is the embodiment of equality for women. Oshun is not just about her body. It's not just about your body. It's about thinking and using your head well. Oshun was able to not just use her sensuality, but use her brain to work out how things could be in balance for women as well. Just as how now we have as a society, especially the Afro-centric society, the African community, the community of people of African descent, we have to figure out how to work against this onslaught of HIV, right? And the way to do that is to show our young people through the example of Oshun that your body is sacred. Your body is a beautiful vessel. Sex is a sacred, joyous, beautiful thing when it's done according to the rules and regulations for good living.
Gentlemen, what is sitting before you on the table, it might seem inferior, but it is something that could actually save your life. And again, because I was diagnosed with the virus 4 years ago, and I will be honest with you all, I didn't want to see a pack of condoms because I would love to have sex plain like that, because the sensation was better. You understand? And half the time I was having sex, the condom was just a few inches away on the bedhead, right in my pocket, or even in my girlfriend's purse, and I didn't give a damn, because I don't want to lose that vibe. You know that vibe when you get hot? You dick hard, and you're telling yourself, yeah, what's going on? The time I go take the pour on that, I go and lose everything, or she go just forget it. You know, sometimes you meet a girl in a party and you wish you had a car. You understand where I'm coming from? Because after that whining and grinding and the drinking of the 2 beers, the session tight, you're ready. And when you reach outside the flag down a taxi, here she ain't going again. If you had a car, you just jump in the back seat and everything happened there already. You understand? Well, you see, just as how you make that snap decision, that's how fast HIV could catch you.
In the Caribbean, you still find where there's still taboos and there's still myths and there's still that perception that, you know what, condoms don't work. You have a society that is heavily based on religion as well. And you find, you know, a lot of people saying that, you know, the whole issue of condoms in some spaces, no, we don't need that. Our community, you know, we don't engage in those sort of activities in terms of risky sexual practices. Our community don't have HIV. HIV is not present in this community. And in some other community, in some cultures, you have where, listen, give me sex because you know what, tonight I intend to do it and do it very lawless.
This is saying to the population that it's all right to have sex outside of marriage. It's all right to have sex with multiple partners, but hey, take a condom before you have it. Well, the religious organizations are saying no, it is not all right. We are not animals. It is not all right to have sex outside of marriage or before marriage. And we are saying don't facilitate that, don't encourage that, don't train the population to be that way inclined. So we will not support condoms, either in school, in dispensers, or on the wayside, or anything like that. We will not. We say the best way to prevent the spread of AIDS is to have sex within marriage, single partner sex. What's wrong with that?
I think traditional cultures with everything else, people accustomed to a particular thing. If it's, this is all I know, this is all I know. And that's not going to change. That's not going to change. People are comfortable, some people are afraid to move outside and learn other things. Some people are very stubborn and live their life a certain way. So you find it's going to be very hard for traditional people to come out and say, yeah, I am going to look at the choices I have before me and try to practice which one fits in.
I only have sex with one partner, so that I don't really need to use condom unless you come and give me the disease, I'll kill you.
Well, the best protection is really condom. Okay? If you decide to play yourself. But if you ain't playing yourself and you're staying with one party,
No condom.
I hate to use condom.
8 hours before the menstruation, they can put it on.
But if a girl had that now, I feel bloody better.
What do you mean?
Because I feel
you ready?
more
Let me go.
interested with other man a condom.
Condom. Children and diseases. Don't forget the children. Children and diseases we protect them from. So maybe the spouse, your girlfriend, whatever, and in the heat of the moment, you don't want to stop to put on a condom?
We have time for that. We're more taken up in church and the activities in church. And I thank God for that.
Religions have not been held responsible for health. They have been responsible for converting people, maybe visiting the sick, marrying people, burying the dead, and so on. And now here is something which turns up, which is bordering on how you deal with sexuality, and so they have been challenged to get this new information and to become partners of the healthcare professionals.
What the church has always said is that condoms are not the solution to the HIV crisis. Right? What I've always said is there's no such thing as safe sex. So you are fooling yourself if you believe that you're going to give everybody condoms and solve the HIV crisis. The research in Trinidad and Tobago is showing that in spite of all that has happened, most people, even people who are HIV positive, are still not using condoms. Right? So it's not the answer. What has been the mix-up is that the church has proclaimed condoms as contraceptives to be wrong. Okay, that's the official teaching of the Catholic Church. But in an HIV situation, a condom is not a contraceptive. It's not a contraceptive. As a matter of fact, I prefer to call it a contramotive. Right? And as a contramotive, it may well be a good thing.
Like a priest, right? I have a choice to become a priest. Yeah. But it's more like, you know, you run your show with your choice. Like, you choose to serve on the altar, you choose to, you know, wear the gong, like that, right? And you have a choice. You could, if like, you don't know what you want, if you want to be a priest or you don't know it's like, if you want to be a priest or if you don't want to be a priest, right? If you don't want to be a priest, well, obviously you will have a girlfriend. Right, but if you want to be a priest, you would be single, but you would have a friend. Yeah. Somebody there with you. So make sure you're not gay.
And you really like having sex?
You don't have to be. You could be single for the Lord. You do everything about sex.
Catholics have had a much freer sense of what the church asks of them than, let's say, your modern Pentecostal. Right? Because the church has always said virtue stands in the middle. Right? Extremes on either side are not what God wants. Right? Now that's a very, very difficult thing for some people to live with, because some people by their very nature, they want rigidity. They want tough, you know, absolutes. While the church proclaims absolutes, it also recognizes that, hey, for most people, it's like the image of salt and light. If you're all salt, you're no use. If you're all light, you're blind. You blind others and you blind yourself. So you need just enough salt and just enough light to live your life to the full.
Right there. Right there. You have a whole wallet full.
I don't live for $1,000. I must carry it. That's one thing. Because I don't know what could go on out there.
Yeah,
so
when nature take him, you know.
Nature don't take me.
Bush or no bush. Some say the sex is sweeter without the condom. Which
well,
is true. Which
I
is true.
learned that in, let me see,
But
like,
when you're younger, right, and you're going and you have girls, right, who doing things, right, you don't know what them could be carrying, and you know yourself clean, right? Really, I'll take my test something, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know if them take a test, you don't know what them have. Them got like 3 and 4 different STDs and them just don't know it because you know the T4 cells way stronger than normal, so it can't affect them. They could only carry it and give other people and kill them, you know. And that's why condoms are condoms. But even if Roman Catholics don't believe in condoms, right?
I believe in it.
It's your choice to believe it.
Yeah.
What?
Nah, well, Father will know we
have
these things, but
it's not like to say like, you know, we just, it's like coping, Father.
just keep them.
That's like personal, you know.
In a sexual situation, there are very few barriers, and the condom is really all that obtains during sexual intercourse. So if you're restricting your discussion of HIV prevention to what can be used when 2 persons are having sex to help reduce risk of transmission, the answer is the condom.
I think condomization in the hands of our children is a license. And Islam is not going to, as far as I know, no Muslim who understands the ethos of what Islam stands for, I don't think they are going to ever be a part of any condomization trust. It's just like if you are walking, if you visit a city where you have strips where prostitutes frequent and where you have the brothels available, the temptation is greater than if you were in a city where there was none. And I think a child, a student, a young person having a condom, yes, it is a natural instinct to try to want to have relations with the opposite sex. But if you have a license then, or you feel that you are going to be protected in some way, and that is why the Muslim, there's a statement that says that always remember, even though you don't see Allah, Allah always sees you. So that is the premise from which we want our children to operate.
If they're really in the mood, they're going to put it on. Quick movements. Not too small, you have to put on the small piggy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, put it on the
Anyone?
This one easier.
Hey, now by wrong way, man.
Nah, boy, I don't like man, boy.
It could be easier like that.
You go like man, boy. I'm sorry.
No, they can like man.
I'll plug for the table, boy.
You just say man, you just say
hey, you flip it over. Hey, yeah, shut up. You have to put it on slow.
Put it on anything.
The chance piece are there. That thing feeling nasty, man. Hey, we don't mind me and mine. And you like man, but I don't tell you.
You gotta show you.
Right, you put it on.
Out and bad. Alright. You make a lot of mistakes in your presentation.
There's a huge reality to the fact that, you know, it is unprotected anal sex is more riskier than other unprotected sex.
Which I ask everybody this, is it better condom? You always use condoms?
Yeah. No, I don't always use condoms.
Always, but
I haven't always used condoms.
Let's say 25% of the people who have sex with who use condoms and the other percentage.
Would you prefer raw?
25%. Well, let's say
that's a huge. Oh my God.
No, let's say it's on a 50%.
That's even kind of big.
No.
Oh my God.
No. Let's take it as just imagine a 50%.
Okay.
And 25% of people who have sex with you use condoms, and the other 25% you don't use it.
Where do we next 50%?
No, we're not going to 100%. Let's just take it half percentage.
Okay.
Did you guys use condoms when you were together? Because we're monogamous. When you were together, you were monogamous?
No. But we used, we used and not, we didn't use condoms all the time, but we did use condoms a few times well. Yeah.
And you cannot trust your husband these days.
And my daughter is doing a play on AIDS.
a boy go have sex, so no matter what you're going, you're going to have unfaithful times at some point or next. But the main point about it, even though condom is not 100% safe, at least you still try to protect yourself.
Yeah, I protect myself at all times.
Yeah, even with your husband?
Even with my husband, because I'm living in Guyana. My husband living in Trinidad. So I don't trust him. No. I don't concern, I don't trust him. You can't even trust your own shadow.
If condom is 89% safe, right? One condom, then use two.
I wouldn't actually go for the feeling. I would go for the facts, which is it is safer to use condoms.
The motive of men is if they're having sex with a woman, they want the sperm to rest on the vagina. When you having sex with a man having sex with a woman and he use a condom, he's not having sex with the woman, he's having sex with the condom. That is just plain nonsense. You see, there is no enjoyment there. And nobody had tied me up in that. But I mean, if somebody wants to be on the safe side, they use that. But don't come and tell me you're having enjoyment. You're not having no sex with the woman, you're having sex with the condom.
And just like with anything you do in life, you would find people that for and people against. And I've adapted that, you know, that sort of thinking in terms of, you know, people who are against condom, no matter where you go in the world. Our focus is not to create a high level of promiscuity. Our thing is basically, yes, we agree with abstinence. If you're abstaining, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to also be prepared for if you find yourself in a position where sex is involved, you have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to know, okay, listen, you have a condom, okay, what do I do? Do I just open it with my mouth and tear it open and bite it up? Or do I look for the expiry date? Do I know how to open it? I know how to maneuver my way. I know how to check to see if it's good. Basically, that's what it is. It's a matter of protecting yourself. So I disagree totally with this whole talk of it creating promiscuity. If I give you a box of cigarettes, then you don't need to smoke. You don't have to smoke. You're not going to smoke it. If you choose, then you know, okay, what the methods are. You have a condom. If you find yourself, because at the end of the day, we're all sexual beings, whether or not we want to admit it, yes or no. We are sexual beings, and at the end of the day, young people, in some cases, some communities are going to be sexually active.
Whose molding is this? Because I find it to be quite large.
Yeah, but that is nobody's molding. That's just like, you know, that's like probably about that.
Well, I know they do it with penises. They mold them, and they make it from a mold. Like say John Doe went and he get a mold, and you produce male toys from his mold. Right? That's what I normally know.
That's not the same. It's just larger.
Them days are coming back in my mind. Them days that pass a long, long time. Them days were really sweet. Them days were hard to beat. Them days are coming back in my mind. I really didn't want to grow up, but the passage of time you cannot stop. I know that time will fly, that one day I must die. Them days are coming back in my mind. Them days are coming back in my mind.
So if you intend to deal with the female for the rest of your life, you have to really know who she is and what she is about, because as the old people say, you ain't gonna buy cat and bar, because next thing you pull out that cat and it's not a person, it's a cougar. And I'm telling you, you ain't gonna want to fight with a cougar. You know, just to know you're visiting a girl home, and she real quiet when she home by she mother and them. She doing everything for you. And the day you say here, what? You're moving in by me. As she reach, me ain't doing nothing, no. I ain't cooking by KFC. You put your drawers in the basket. Who washing that? You feel like, no. They just do that when they reach home by you. So if you want to be sure what you're doing, you have to do your home lesson. You have to make sure that the individual you're going and get involved with, she decent, she clean, and she HIV free. Now you ain't going to do that for she, and you ain't going to do that for yourself, you know. Now it is advisable that ever so often you take an HIV test once you're sexually active. And for the virgins, I don't want you all to take this lecture to tell you don't have sex, you know. I want you all to take this lecture to help you make that responsibility decision when you're ready.
That's awareness when someone just screams out, get tested. You know, I think it's awareness where you get that self-awareness. That's what the awareness is about. Self-awareness by just letting people know about, you know, self. We're in a society that's about following. It's about trying to be like someone else. It's about not having a voice. And how can you have people create some change in their life, meaning behavior change, when they can't even decide on who they are? Look at how we're conditioned in primary and little children to think that if you're female, you have to be a nurse or a secretary, and if you're male, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, and that's where the conditioning is, you know. But it's also an opportunity to have good conditioning, you know. Why, you know, use that time to teach kids to be who they are, and if they are who they are, then they can make more informed, educated decisions about their sexuality and their sex life.
Some people don't want to fight, pick up your chest, yeah, but now they catch the virus and they like the doctors. But I said, do the test, yes, do the test. Some of them want to go to flex, but them not do the test. Yeah, they're picking up a young girl who never did do the test. Yeah, that's how she get inspired because she never do the test. Yeah, she lie down in a coffin, but she never do the test. But if you take the test, and then she take the test, you might at least you can see the also find the rest. And if you get a better, can it mean you get the best? So Mr. KFC, come in, tell them you take the test. Yes, Mr. Bungie, I have to confess, before I get insurance, I went to do my test. I am no HIV, so I'm better than the rest. I never picked up with them kind of girl who like comments. I ride in straight, I ride in bend. No, straight, not bend to the end. I'm stepping up the condom and me going up, me go.
It makes no sense preaching something and teaching something and you're not applying it to your own life or your lifestyle. It's important to not only live but live by and set example also, you know, and not because all or most of the other artists in the country will be scared to do this mean that I should be scared too, you know. I need to make that step because if no one wants to make this step, then we will just keep spiraling downwards. So somebody has to make this step.
Long time bad man want to try. Them one girl in to die. But tell them that's not truth. I will never tell no lie. No bad mind people can't hold me. And any one of them dare come test me. Tell them to come. Because tonight they so come on up. We live in here with the crown. Put your two one up in the sky. Put them up and wave them up high. Cause you know boy with this so come on and come. I and we coming. Here's how we coming. We don't afraid nobody. Here's how we coming. Everybody wave. Burning, burning, burning. Boy, me a Joe to rock, Joe to swing. Right the music from Queens and Kings, Kings, Kings. Hands up. Here's how we coming. We don't
I think most of the time artists have a bad persona. They tend to feel that all artists sleep around. And not that is the only way to get HIV, but that is what plenty parents see when they see the artists. And that's why a lot of them don't really like the kids supporting the artists, because they think because we sing soca, we always promoting a jump and wave and a wine and just have sex and free yourself kind of vibe. And really and truly, when you see the artists who are actually making a conscientious effort to do something other than that, most time they don't get the listening air. But if an artist does something wrong, it's all over the news. So I think we should get more artists inside here, actually.
It's gonna feel like an ant's bite. Yeah. Yeah, more like a
ants with some serious pinching. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to be stuck.
Little stick.
Oh,
no, this is going to be the hard part because I have to squeeze really hard to get 4 good drops of blood.
Oh, okay. If you're in a relationship with somebody, before you all actually have sex or anything like that, don't just think condoms. You should, if the person really loves you, two of them should go and get tested together. Because if the person really have your interest at heart, then they will go and get tested with you, and they will not just say, well, nah, I good. You know, most guys like to say, I see if you're trust man. We just see you trust man. So okay, well, if that is the case, then you don't know me. So why not go to get tested to make sure that I ain't trying to infect you with something, and see where it goes from there. And if he says no, he don't want to get tested, well then you know where the relationship going.
A little bit more, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
And then you're gonna just press this. I want you to press it for me. Great. And then of course it's 2 drops.
We should shelter some of the blame in that we focus too much on trying to make our own career successful, and not realizing that we have people, younger people, looking up to us. And you know, sometimes we might make a mistake and we know it's a mistake, but just we don't admit it. They think it's actually something that we're meant to do. So when we have the people listening, I think it's our responsibility to actually talk about positive stuff and actually educate people about certain things, that because we have the audience, we have the people listening.
What does it all mean? What does it mean?
It means that it's a negative result. Once we have one line, it means that the kits are working well and the person is negative. If they were positive, there'll be another line here by the T, which means...
But the test that you do is going to cover you for your past 6 months, beyond the 6 months, right, and that 6-month period. So checking back the 6-month period, you'll see where if you were exposed within that period. So if you know you were exposed within that period, then you can repeat your test to ensure that. But the whole thing is, as I tell people, focus on HIV and prevention and remaining negative, because that's what we want everybody to do the test. But when you get your result and it's a negative status, you have to maintain it.
It's like making us a pregnant and a higher up a chain. Performing the whole carnival next year. Hello, jump and wave. If you're HIV negative.
HIV negative.
Cheers.
Living the life of HIV for the past 4 years has changed me somewhat. It has changed my life in a sense that I focus on things that I used to let pass. You understand? I used to look at a lot of things as though it was just easy going. I didn't care about it. But I have to live a better life now. If I want to stand up here and talk to people every day, I have to eat properly. I have to make sure I take my meds. I have to make sure that my mind cool. I ain't taking no stress no more, you know. In Christmas of 2003, I gave myself a gift for Christmas. I bought a brand new scissors. Anything that is not profitable, it can't bring nothing to me, and it's full of shit, are cutting it off. You have no place around me again. And I have changed my life somewhat. I still see all the pretty girls out the road. But you are just there to amuse my eyes. I don't look at women for the physical anymore. I'm looking at you deeper than that. I had to see something inside you that would actually cause me to come your way. A sexy body, a big ass, and some nice tits can't catch me again. You gotta bring more to the table than just that.
One of the things that we've been trying to do in the national response to HIV, and as guided by our strategic plan, is to utilize some of those perceived weaknesses and turn them into strengths. So some of the artists that may have been singing songs that could have led to unsafe behavior in the past have been recruited, and sometimes with tools that aren't even financial but moral suasion and otherwise, and are now part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem.
Culture can be used, yes, without a doubt, but the issue here is whether in the transitional period in which we are, precisely because it is a period of transition, we are at a disadvantage in dealing with something like HIV. And our Catholic Church falls into that category, that it's still caught up in a set of tenets that you bring in, that have been brought in. It's true you say they come out of the scriptures, that it's part of the Word of God, yes, but it's part of the Word of God in a cultural setting. And therefore we have to ask ourselves, okay, what is our cultural setting? And what does that Word say to us given our cultural setting? And I have no doubt that we're going to have to develop rituals again around, for instance, our confirmation ceremonies and so on, which help young people to see different ways of relating.
You have to do the kind of work that gets people to realize that they could carry a message to their network. If each religious denomination begins to have a social ministry, they will be able to reach people.
All together.
And I think culture is going to be the effective delivery tool. And I also feel that you really need to give the resources to the people who have the means to deliver the message, who are in touch with everyone. Governments are never really in touch with anyone. Governments would put an ad on the television and they don't know who's looking at it. They put an ad on radio and they don't know who's hearing it. But the priests, the pundits, the cultural workers, the NGOs, the non-governmental organization, we work on the ground. We come into contact with the real people. If we were paid to do the state's work in terms of report to an office for 8 hours and work in our communities, and I'm sure that we would be more effective in delivering the social vaccine, where we could say, look, you know, you need to be careful, you need to stop, or you need to change your lifestyle.
Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva om shanti 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 hari om.
I think the approach has to be multifaceted. Certainly it has to start in the home. It has to be reinforced in the schools. It has to be reinforced wherever we worship, but it has to be reinforced quite holistically. And we have to keep on in the good fight in terms of making sure that we advocate with the right persons for holistic education on HIV and AIDS, advocate for parents to really build that relationships with their children so that they don't get misinformation from elsewhere, but parents need to educate themselves as well. We have to advocate with all our stakeholders, government, with our faith-based brothers and sisters, with everyone, because we all are part of this epidemic, pandemic. We're all a part of the national response to HIV and AIDS.
I've got the fire to burn them out. What you wicked evil people, them a run of them out. I've got the fire to burn them out. Ceaseless fire with the people that shout. I've got the fire to burn them out. What you wicked evil people, them a run of them out. I've got the fire to burn them out. Ceaseless fire with the people that shout. No time to play, the fire a go burn it down. In a rump, in a bustin' and a circus slam. For your fun, anytime me come down town, it's teaching me, now play around. It's me. Ganja leaf, we got the high grades up on the top of it. Oh yes, we got it all there. Okay, I've got the fire to burn them out. What you wicked evil people, them a run of them out. I've got the fire to burn them out. Ceaseless fire with the people that shout. I got the fire to burn them out. What you wicked evil people, them a run of them out. I've got the fire to burn them out. I put the game as a bronze with expensive rocks.
Spirituality, you know, spirituality within the reality of the laws and commandments, you know, the laws and commandments. Because if Trinidad was holding the laws and commandments and go to the churches and things, we'd have a better society. You know, we've been down to sort of separate families, neither husbands and wives would have be people holding commandments, God-fearing people, you know, because the whole place, you know, whether everybody have a strength of God in the house now, you know. So, and I say the best thing for the people at Trinidad is to hold the laws and the commandments and eat right, live right, be true to yourself, you know, because we and all can find a solution, because the solution is on ourselves to live right and to know we are away from anything that could destroy the body and the soul now.
I ask that sickness will not be amongst us, that we remember the herbs of the land for our healing, and will not turn to medicine or injection or so forth. At this time that AIDS will no more among us.
Culture is an excellent tool. Culture is an excellent tool. When I say culture, I mean that you're coming with a program that speaks to what people have been doing successfully over a number of years for them to be successful. You don't come and tell me about just abstaining and you just leave that in a vacuum. No. Come and say that parents ensure that you have a network for your children. If it's not a relative, we have been successfully using the extended family. Create an extended family for your children. Speak to them honestly about their bodies. Don't come with any hype. Use people in the community who have been successful doing the traditional things.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alif Lam Ra. Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka litukhrijan nas minaz zulumati ilan nur bi'izni rabbihim illa siratil azizil hamid.
I believe even in our preaching and meeting and treating with the challenges of the postmodern era, that's what I was talking about, the principles, the golden principles, we need to go back and teach that first. To call someone and say, stop drinking, don't fornicate, stop being your licentious behavior, it's not going to work until they know God, until they understand that what you are doing here is only preparing a place for you in the next life.
So therefore there is need for our people, particularly our young children, to be aware that you come from a great heritage. Good. You don't have to copy, right? The values of all people, education, knowledge, good habits and practice belong to everyone. But if it practice in Asia, Africa, China, India, this is our heritage. Good? This is part of our belonging, this thing in terms of one humanity. Good? So they won't have to go aping and following people and to be disrespectful, as some would say. These are important inputs, and if we allow our young people and expose them to these values, then I think we'll have gone a long way.
Lazy, lazy, lazy water, you are flowing to the sea. Lazy, lazy, lazy water, come sing your traveling song to me. You have traveled down the mountain, tumbling over rocky heights, filling at the feeding fountain, never slowing through the night.
It must have taken a lot of creativity for us to learn to live together despite the various cultural philosophies that we have.
Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, come sing your traveling song to me.
We are people who are above all rooted in our traditional beliefs at the core, and we need to get back to that. We need to regain that type of belief system. We are people who know how to look out for a child who is not your own. We are people who understand that you have to bend a branch when it's young. If we don't hold on to our children, it's going to be hard later. We know that, but we are allowing distractions.
Sweep away my sobs and sadness, wash away my garb of grief, overflow me with your softness, fill me with relief. Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, you are flowing to the sea. Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, come sing your traveling.
You know, you must be able to reach onto some core belief that is greater than you. And we need to do that to rescue our young people. And we need to remember exactly who we are.
Let me dance between your ripples while you greet refreshing rain. Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, you are flowing to the sea. Lazy, lazy, lazy waters, come sing your traveling song to me.
Diri
it down. Me no wrong, me no bustin' and no circus slam for your fun. Anytime me come wrong tongue, it's teaching me now play around.
Them days are coming back in my mind. Them days that pass a long, long time. Them days were really sweet. Them days were hard to beat. Them days are coming back in my mind.